Okay, this is a brief presentation on the history of animation, mostly in America. Okay, so animation is essentially a series of still images that are played in a sequence to look as if they're moving, as if they're alive, as if they're animated. Okay, so in 1832 and 1834, two men, Joseph Plateau and William George Horner, invented two different machines, a phonectoscope and a zoetrope. They essentially work the same way. A wheel with holes that are spun around, showing slits. The slits show images like frames on a computer, so they appear as if they're moving to your eye. Okay, a lot of people don't consider that the true beginning. They consider this the true beginning. In 1906, Blackton created animation using chalk and a blackboard and a recording camera. It's called Humorous Faces of Funny Faces. It's a series of faces that change expressions throughout the video. He went on to work with Jefferson in recording animations, and over time animation kept improving. Now, by the 30s, as movies had become more popular, so had animations. They were a way for people to escape the realities of their lives. So, during that time, two very prominent animation studios arose. This led to an era known as the Studio Wars. The Studio Wars took place between two different animation studios, Disney Studios in California and Fleischer Studios in New York. Disney won this. It's apparent today, just in our average everyday media. It's very apparent that Disney won and Fleischer did not. The reason comes down to style, mostly. Disney animations at this time were bright and happy, very pastoral. They helped people escape from their lives, so they were successful. And they became eventually a giant corporation, and that makes a lot of successful movies, merchandise, several successful theme parks. Fleischer Studios weren't. They had a darker, grittier animation style. They made animations using characters like Betty Boop. They were very surreal, and people at that time didn't like that as much, so they fell to the wayside and were not successful. There's actually a game today based around Fleischer Studios, The Failure. It's called Benny and the Ink Machine. It's kind of popular. It's just based around the failed studio, based on several other characters. So, today, animation is changing all the time. As we have developed new technologies, new computers, recording capabilities, it's changed, it's improved. Toy Story in 1995 was actually the first fully computer animated movie. It's created by Pixar Studios, which is now owned by Disney as well. It was actually very successful, and over time computer animation has improved greatly. You can see the comparison between Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 1. Okay. Basically, it's okay to have fun with animations, and anyone can create them today. There's lots of editing programs, software programs free on the internet to download, or very cheap to buy. You can use to create your very own animations, and it's a great way to tell a story. Any questions?
As opposed to the Disney and Fleischer.
Animation is quite an expensive process, especially during this time. So, not really, and if they weren't big enough to be recorded, really. Because animation back then was drawn by hand, done frame by frame. It's actually interesting. Disney went through a long period of having hand-drawn line animation until they started doing computer animation after the advent of Toy Story. I think Pocahontas was their last line-drawn animation until its revival with the Princess and the Frog movie. Any other questions?
Where was it that you said you could get a program to do your own animation?
They're available to download on the internet. A good one is Fire Alpaca. It's free, and there's a lot of tutorials on how to animate.
So it's pretty easy then?
It is. It's pretty easy to learn. You just got to keep practicing and get better every day.